Nigeria, we use naira as our currency. You can have, let's say, 500,000 naira, but that's not enough to get you a good car. You have money, but the amount of money that you have is not enough to get you the kind of car that you want. So we want to liken that situation to what we have here. There is your training, which you um which you which was carried out, the trainings that you passed through in your classroom, and then there is an industry benchmark standard that you were supposedly trained for. So there's a gap that we have normally, um, the gap that every one of you can attest to, most especially for you guys who are just breaking into the industrial automation space. You can tell clearly that what you learned during your undergraduate days or what you know as far as controls is concerned is somewhat kind of different as to what is really obtainable in the industry. So we're going to be juxtaposing the two and see how we can marry what we learned on the classroom floor to what we see on the factory floor. If you are with me, please kindly give me an emoji. All right, from classroom to industry, bridging the gap in industrial automation. So this presentation addresses the critical need to align educational practices with industrial requirements in the field of automation. It outlines the existing gaps and proposes actionable solutions to ensure that graduates are adequately prepared for the demands of the industry. Like I told you, it was a shocker to me when I graduated and I decided that I was going to go into controls, and I realized that what I knew as controls from the four walls of my classroom was actually different from what controls truly is on the factory floor. At that point in time, I got to know clearly that if I would go far or if I would achieve anything substantial as far as my career is concerned, I would have to do an extra work. That's why I see in an M engineering and general supplies, they've seen it as a point of duty because they saw the gap, they saw that there was a gap there, and they are rolling out programs, they are rolling out trainings to see that this gap is closed. All right. So the cliche is there. It is true. It is true. Whether you like it or not, what you've learned, most especially with the Nigerian curriculum or with the African curriculum, if I would tell you, there's a huge divide between what is actually obtainable and what you learned in the classroom. All right. So there's an urgency. As automation technology rapidly advances and transforms industries such as the oil and gas, pharmaceuticals, power generation, and manufacturing, a critical skill gap has emerged. It will interest you to know that I started my career in the power industry before I transitioned into the oil and gas industry. Everything I've done as far as my career is concerned has been protection, automation, controls. And I can tell you for a fact that automation will never ever go out of relevance as far as manufacturing is concerned in the 21st century. All right. So educational institutions often focus on theoretical knowledge while the industry demands practical skills for immediate application. Note this, note this. There's, you go to class, you do all of the learnings, you write the exams, you probably get an A. That is theory. But what is actually obtainable, what the owners of your factory, what your manufacturers will pay you for are the practical skills, not the theoretical knowledge that you know. For example, if you want to employ a driver, there's a theory of driving and there's a practical of driving. If you want to employ a driver, right? Who are you going to employ? Are you going to employ the person that tells you, okay, the brake is slitted at so angle, or the brake that is to be pumped is actually pumped at a certain PSI in terms of pressure, or the person who can actually drive your car from point A to point B? I need responses. Is it the person that knows the theory or that knows the manufacturing data about the car, or the person who can drive your car from point A to point B? I need responses in the comment section. So if you are for the person who knows, manufacturing date of the car, the engine make, or the engine pressure, I would like you to type A in the chat box. But if you are for the person who can actually drive your car from point A to point B, let's say if you are in Nigeria, let's say from to Abuja, or the person who can actually drive a car from Lagos to Abuja, type B in the chat box. So I really want to see who will pay people for the theoretical knowledge or the practical knowledge. I need responses. All right, so I can see people typing B. That's because as far as theory is concerned, theory is important, but there's only how far theory can go. You need practical skills, you need practical knowledge, and we're going to be exploring how we can close this divide. All right. So, like I told you, academic offerings, they are limited. They are limited to theoretical foundations. The academic year primarily delivers theoretical knowledge, focusing on basic PLC theory. That's even if you were taught about PLCs, right? There are some people who are graduates of electrical engineering today who did not come in contact with PLCs during their undergraduate days, right? However, the industry demands practical skills, particularly in real-world programming and troubleshooting, to ensure effective automation processes. Now, we're going to juxtapose this as it relates to the industry requirements, right? While academic institutions lack hands-on training in SCADA systems or HMI systems, the industry will always prefer professionals who have skills like SCADA softwares like WinCC, InTouch HMI, FactoryTalk View for HMI design. This gap will always result in graduates who are unprepared for practical applications. Have you ever been in a situation where all the jobs you are seeing, they're asking for 5 years work experience, 10 years work experience, 3 years work experience? This is because over your theoretical knowledge, the your manufacturers or the owners of the company need somebody who can actually run the plant, right? They need somebody who can automate the process. They need someone who really understands the system. All right. So you must know that clearly it is good to have the theoretical knowledge, but the earlier you start equipping yourself with the practical skills needed to set yourself apart in the industry, the more you set yourself for promotion, the more you set yourself to earn better and be more valuable. Because I tell you, nobody will reward you more than how valuable they perceive you to be. Value is the key to rewards. No matter how valuable you perceive yourself to be, you can never reward yourself